Gainesville, The Villages. Third Tip, The Source.
All right, 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We have on the phone Heather Cumiskey. She is an essayist. She's written a couple of good books here I'm going to tell you about. She helps special needs athletes compete in mainstream races. Well, that is awesome. I like that. She's a contributor to Kids Book Buzz and Germ magazine. There's a magazine called Germ?
I guess so.
Wow, this is a magazine for everything.
I know, this is wonderful.
I'm going to read that at the airport next time. Just see what kind of glances I get. What are you reading? It's Germ magazine.
You're going to be the only one on the plane. You'll have carte blanche.
She's also a dancer, choreographer, and her two books we want to talk about. I Like You Like This, which is part of a duology, and the other one is I Love You Like That. Nice, I like that. Though, if you look at the streaming video, that's the cover. Obviously, it's got the title, I Like You Like This. And what I liked about the description on Amazon, kind of I can relate to, she has wild, uncontrollable hair, Robin.
Yes.
Until you cut mine off, I had the same thing.
Yeah. You've gotten a lot of compliments on your short hair.
I know, everybody likes my short hair. Because it was wild and uncontrollable before. Heather Cumiskey, it's an honor to have you on the show. Good morning, Heather.
Thank you. Hi, Larry. Hi, Robin. Thanks for having me. This is so exciting.
Oh, you're welcome. Where are you?
I am in Ellicott City, Maryland.
Aw.
Ellicott. Is that right? It's a nice name.
Yes, Ellicott City.
Ellicott City, Maryland. How's the weather today there in Ellicott?
Hot, very hot and sticky.
Here too, yeah.
So what did you write for Germ magazine? I'm just curious.
So Germ magazine is a really neat magazine for teens online I basically they have health and beauty and lifestyle, but I wrote a article last year about my wild, crazy hair and learning to love it. And then just recently they published my essay called Skin Up about my battle with my complexion. And again, having to, come out the other side and realize that it's going to be okay. But the 13 years were kind of rough for me with those two things. So those were essays that were very personal.
So Hannah Zandana is based on you?
Hannah Zandana got some of my flaws as a teen, but no, her story's not mine. But I know what it's like to be that kid who has, your face and your hair, and you're trying to get through high school.
But you got 40 5-star ratings, and that's across the board. You've got 5-star ratings across the board, and obviously people are relating to the book and to the story and to those flaws you're talking about.
Yes. Well, you know what's funny? It's the teens as well, because this is a story that takes place in the mid-'80s, but even today, unfortunately, kids still are dealing with things that they feel like they don't fit into the mainstream and struggles that they maybe don't like about themselves. But also the parents who grew up in the 80s are coming to book events and saying, you're talking about me. This is my life. So it's very interesting because it's really across the board. Kids and parents are relating to it.
But the reflections in the book, like you had said earlier, is really true right now as it was back then, because you've got teenage girls like in Bad Boys, and then all of a sudden there's some other girls and boys with low self-esteem, and that is ever present for each generation, I think.
Yes, I agree, and I think all kids are just trying to figure it out.
So
it's interesting, but even so the 80s are hair's wild and crazy and whatnot, and there's no technology, but they're still going through things that they're dealing with today.
And I think that time of our lives in those teen years, the awkward, if you're through them, you probably look back on them sometimes with fondness. But the funny thing is, during those years, you are very awkward feeling, right? Isn't it weird how after you're done with them, you look back at them and wish you were back there again?
Yes. Well, I think we kind of romanticize the fun stuff, not having maybe all with, having a job and families, the pressures we have now. So sometimes I look back and like, wow, wouldn't it be great just to worry about yourself? And sometimes we kind of romanticize, and all your friends and all the firsts that you have when you're a teen, the first boy or girl that you liked, your first crushes. There's a lot of, you can romance the past, but sometimes during it, I think, kids are, as I said, just trying to figure it out, and, some of it's not easy to navigate. I mean, teen years are hard enough, and then to, get things thrown at you that your appearance is not so great, or maybe as one of the characters is closeted in the 80s. You're dealing with so much, and then there's a backstory, and there's more behind the scenes.
But you also talk about heroes and courage, and it's really hard to be courageous when you're a teen, but you have to do the right thing.
Yes, and both of these teens need 2 books to figure it out. They're both, Hannah's journey of, obviously she has outward appearance that she's not happy with. She's also coming from a dysfunctional family with secrets, and she really wants to change her life. And so in book 1, she does something pretty reckless, and in order to try to gain popularity, and that's how she meets Deacon. And Deacon, you think on the outset, he has everything, handsome guy, very revered, and wealthy family, prominent family, but he's dealing with secrets. So he's dealing with things that people don't know about. So both of them are coming. They look, on the appearance, they look like very, very different, but they have a lot of commonalities you wouldn't realize.
And this is very impactful for the young adult reader because it's not a textbook. It's not a teacher preaching to you in school about the do's and don'ts. It's true to life scenarios, and you can really get lost in this book. In your both.
I agree, and I think that's why YA books are fantastic at bringing up these issues, like you mentioned. I mean, from peer pressure to the dangers of drugs. I'm a parent of teens, and I use stories and books. I mean, I probably wrote this duology to be able to talk to my own teens. I think books do a great job of talking to teens without preaching to teens.
And you're very detailed in your book, and you are just a wonderful and inspirational writer.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, so are you intentionally giving like a little bit of hope, a little bit something to relate to? I mean, it sounds like it's a great story that also will leave the reader feeling, hey, that's kind of me. If you look at Taylor Swift, I love Taylor Swift, but she looks so perfect. I'm thinking that it's a hard role model to live up to, and of course, a lot of that is probably. I'm not saying she's not really pretty, but I mean, camera tricks do help. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think, just to take Taylor Swift, I think she has talked about that she was bullied as a kid, and, she had that mean girl situation happening, and she has said, look, I got through it too, and look at me now.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that.
I do think it's hard, with, these perfect images that these kids see, even more than anywhere than with on technology and right on their phone. I mean, that's got to be hard.
Do you know what's even what's kind of the sour part for me is when in the description of the book, I think it was "I like you like this." I'm confused about the two now because I got them.
I love you like that.
I love you like okay.
I like you like that.
I love you like that. I can help.
So there was the part where the parents were even mean to her. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's important. So the parents verbally shame her, and I think that time period, sometimes I think parents thought if a kid's hair, you think about the hair products back then, there was like light cream rinses for conditioners, and not all girls' hair is, can handle the same product. And definitely with more diverse hair, what was available is not what it is today. And so here you have teens going through puberty. I mean, my hair went wild in puberty, and there wasn't hair products back then like there is now. And also with skin, I think we know more, too, about acne, and it's not a sign of poor hygiene. And so I think sometimes parents,
right.
and I could be at fault of this, too. You talk to your teens, and maybe you're saying, hey, wash your face, fix your hair, and, is your teen taking it a different way, like they're not enough? And to Hannah, obviously, it's an extreme, but I think it's a good teachable moment for adults to, read this and turn to their teens and say, when I talk to you about your parents, do you feel I'm saying to you, you're not enough? I think that's a good question.
And you also encourage creativity in teens through writing because you lead writing workshops for teenagers.
Yes, and the workshops have become more inspiration that I've never dreamt possible. Very inspiring. These kids they're going through stuff. I encourage them to write in their journals and not carry around the stuff that they're going through, the good and the bad, everything that happens in high school, because I know they will forget it, just like I've forgotten a lot, but also just to unload it and put it down on paper, and that their words matter. And a lot of them, they could be interested in fanfic, or they're interested in, poetry or lyrics, rap, whatever. Right. Whatever floats their boat, I encourage them to, as a great outlet, is writing. And so that's what the teen writing workshops have been just amazing.
Heather, you're making the world a better place. Thank you so much for being on the air with us to talk about this.
Thank you so much.
I mean, the one thing, because we do the news as well as these interviews, and I just hate when I have a story about a teenager who took his own life or her own life, and I really think you're going to kind of help in some unknown way with some of the young people, teenagers who are going through some of those things that might lead to something so tragic as that. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I hope so, because you know what? Everyone has a story, and it needs to be told, and we're not alone.
And nobody gets through life without carrying a cross, or whatever they say, whatever they're saying.
Absolutely.
Right?
And it's important. I think we need to talk about this stuff.
Wow, you're so right. Yeah, we're not perfect, and nobody is. And all right, we actually have 2 books, so I'd like to give both of them away to one person because they go together. I Like You Like This, and I Love You Like That. Go get them on Amazon from Heather Cumiskey, or let's see, do you have a website, Heather, before we say goodbye?
Yes, it's heathercumiskey.com.
Oh, easy enough. Heather, what an honor. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. Florida Democrats are